morning. Welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg, and it's the 28th day of December 2023. And welcome to our show this morning. We are going to have a surprise mystery guest coming on probably around 10 o'clock today. And that should be really fun considering all the fireworks that we all saw yesterday going on in my channel and everybody's channel and such. I think this is going to be a little bit of a fun thing. Warren Carpenter is going to be coming on, so he's our mystery guest. Anyhow, want to welcome my guest today. It's Ralph, the IT guy, and Karen, the Riveter. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we were having fun this morning because guess what? So I got a bunch of threats yesterday that I couldn't be talking about what happened at J6 and publishing said videos. Well, guess what? I've got another video. So I was working on it this morning. Didn't quite pull it off yet, but I'm going to make sure that when it comes out, there's no question on basically how or where this thing came from, so that we can all know that as they steal it to take it to Fox News and manipulate it, that we can always go back to the original video. What say you?
You ought to imprint Donna Brandenburg stamp into it.
That's exactly what I was working on this morning, is putting a BrandenburgNewsNetwork.com.
There
you go.
Yes, I just got to get in there and do the final edit. This one, I'm sure we're going to hear some screamy bobcats out there a little bit. So did you guys see what happened with Christina Cromwell last night?
No.
I saw that looked like they canceled a meeting is what I heard, but I just read a little bit on social media and I didn't want to trust anything because I wasn't sure exactly what happened yet.
Yeah, you ever feel like this MIGOP, Grand New Party, MIRP, whatever the heck they are, they're all the same, it's kind of like, you've seen one of them, you've seen them all, right? Not really. There's some really good patriots out there, but I feel like it's Jello. I feel like they're trying to grab Jello in their fingers. And every time they grab onto one of these things, it's like they like fly out of their hands or something. But I think Warren Carpenter is going to get his hands around this. I republished his report this morning again, just to make sure. Laura Loomer got a hold of it now, and now Laura Loomer is in on the chase a little bit, which I think is kind of funny. And I wouldn't have any problems if somebody actually came forward and said I made a mistake, but no, they just keep doubling down there, and it's just kind of crazy to me, honestly, but I don't know how much of that you guys have seen, but then I got on my Telegram channel this morning and I was just kind of sick of the DeVosses and the Van Andels and Amway and all that crap that's going on. So I just decided to kind of double down on that one too. I mean, I think we're fighting a beast system, if you really want to know the truth. And within this beast system, there's so many different trajectories we could go off on. It's really kind of like unbelievable. I had a video this morning that I wanted to play out there, but just kind of curious what you guys got going on this morning.
Oh, it sounds to me kind of like the quote from Star Wars: "The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers."
Yes. There you go. Michigan Republican Party. They're screwing up so abysmally right now. And what's really kind of funny is there's people like myself who is, pretty well going to fight as a patriot, as an American, but these cult clubs are nonsense, absolutely nonsense. We'll go back to the, shrimp on a treadmill club and the SEAL club. We could start watching more SEALs and vote this way because the SEAL club tells you to vote that way instead of figuring out who's actually running. Yeah. So here is, I'll show you the one thing, Laura Loomer. I've had her on my show before. She's really nice. And like anything, I don't have many heroes in the world. But with that said, not many heroes. But let me see, where did I put it here? All right, hang on. Nothing's cooperating right now.
Well, the one reliable thing about computers is that they will always be unreliable when you need them the most.
says Ralph, the IT guy. So anyhow, so Christina Caramo is, say you are still the current president of unauthorized. I'm not misrepresenting anything. Actually, everything is sourced. Either way, why would you work with an organization that wants to work with Democrats and Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? Polling for Michigan shows Trump leading Biden in your state by 10 points without RFK Jr. on the ballot, and 8 points with RFK Jr. So I have some opinions on this because I've met Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and I think he's a nice guy. Okay, there's things I really like about everyone, no matter what political party people want to slam people into. But he has actually apologized for his stand on the border. So we're learning, right? There's different people in different parties that are learning. I'm hoping that the Republicans catch up with the fact that the Republican Party is absolutely worse than the Democrat Party right now. But we've got way too much pride going on there to admit that. At any rate, Robert Kennedy Jr., there were things I really liked about him. Now, do I think he should be president? No, I don't. I don't think he should be president. Who should be president? Do we all know what Donna Brandenburg's opinion is? Who should be president is the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump needs to be president of the United States, and we need to go back and write this in 2020, right? But the things that I like about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., like I like things and I dislike things about pretty much everybody. I don't have any absolute heroes. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe three that I talk to about blessing every day. But those are really my heroes. But everybody else is kind of like floating around in the middle in the gray area for me, where I listen to what they say because I'm not looking for another savior. I have one. His name happens to be Jesus Christ. And the rest of us are just kind of like people muddling around in the middle somewhere, right? So, but the things that I liked about Robert Kennedy is he is a beast attorney fighting for individual rights when there are especially damages by big pharma and such. You know what? If I were going to staff this thing, staff the government, you know what I would do? After I cut about 85% to 90% of it away, he would be an awesome attorney general. I wouldn't put him in the position of being president or vice president. It's like the Peter principle. Why promote people to their level of failure or incompetence, right? The guy is incredible when it comes to being an attorney. So why wouldn't he function really, really well as an attorney to defend individual rights and or corporate rights? Okay, that's kind of my opinion on this. And
I think too, it's not even just promoting people, past the level of usually it's portrayed as promoting people past the level of their competency, but
right.
There's also a degree of sometimes when you get into a management position, if you've got someone who's particularly effective at a job, if you promote them to a management position, you may very well get less done. Just because, yes, they're competent and they can manage in that position, but they're so good at what they do, they're better off doing that rather than trying to get other people to do it.
Or they may really not have that skill set because management is a completely different skill set. It's not a better skill set. It is a skill set. Just like when they have candidates get in there and debate, that is the dumbest test of whether somebody can actually hold office or not that I could possibly think of. Just because you can debate, it's not that I'm afraid of debating. I'm a beast level debater. I love debating people, especially when they're chip shots like these people that were at the J6 thing that thought they threatened me yesterday, which I actually found kind of funny. I actually did. I thought it was a little amusing. I didn't make a comment one way or the other than the fact that, the only ones that didn't get prosecuted so far have appeared to be feds at this point in time. And anybody else that's out there, instead of trying to save their own tails, should be out there screaming from the rooftops. Either you prosecute all of them or you prosecute none of them and let them go. That's the point right there. We have to have equal justice under the law. And we're not seeing that. And so now what I'm seeing is a bunch of people that are out there running around going, oh, don't say anything. We might be prosecuted. Like the rest of the people who were at J6. Why try to save your own tail instead and let other people rot? I have no respect for that whatsoever. But at any rate, the whole debate thing is a different skill set, just like management is a different skill set. If you want somebody in there that is going to make the cuts that need to be happen, it's probably not going to be your best choice for, say, like human resources. You want somebody that's going to look at the budget and go through and say, yep, this is not right. That's not right. This goes unnecessary, and cut it right down to what it needs to be. And then work with somebody in human resources to retool the things that need to be done to service people better. It's always a teamwork thing, right? You never have one person that can claim that they can do everything, but you have different skill sets. So
I think
that
one
was
of the
my
things,
beef on
one of the
the
things
Kennedy
I've seen
thing.
from RFK Jr. is, I think probably one of his most effective roles that I've seen is, the more conservative side has been talking about the corruption and the human trafficking and all of that stuff for years. And the left has always been just kind of in denial on a lot of that, in general. And I tend to think one of his most effective things right now is kind of waking up people on the left to the fact that, yeah, you can admit that there's corruption and still hold your views. It's not just a right versus left thing. It's a full American populace problem. And it's kind of unifying having that message coming from both sides.
Well, and I was like within probably 10 feet of him. I was when he was talking here in Lansing. So, I was right up in front. I was right there. He was there and I was here. Right. And listen to him apologize for really having the wrong view on the border. And I can't fault anybody for changing their mind when they have different views, right? So he said, I used to be open the borders and help people in a refugee situation. Okay. Well, and I'm not doing okay. Karen's gonna laugh. We got a joke on okay. So anyhow, he really was absolutely sincere. One of the most sincere people I have heard ever speak. And he said, I said, I was wrong. He said, this is a human tragedy that we have created. We thought we were helping people, but we were hurting them and letting them be used by the global powers to damage them. Now, I think that both sides, both Republicans and the Democrats classically are very arrogant about their positions on things. There's usually some truth here and some truth here. Like they want to peg conservatives as heartless bastards, right? Only out for money. Well, that's not exactly true. And the Democrats is compassionate. Well, that's not exactly true either. They're picking who they're being compassionate to, both sides. And when we, it's a respecter of persons, which the Bible talks about not being a respecter of persons. God gave rights to all of us, guaranteed by the Constitution. Those are individual rights. That doesn't mean that one person's rights are more important than the other. So we need to be able to listen to both sides and not try to make a pariah out of people necessarily, but listen to what they say and take good ideas so that we can say, oh, this is great. That's a great idea. This is a great idea. Tim's got this idea. Karen's got this idea. Rex has got this idea, whatever, and we put those together and go, wow, these are the best ideas that are out there, as long as we don't have censorship and we can all sit down and not talk without fighting or hitting each other and being crazy,
Yep. Well, it's that duty to listen that comes with free speech.
Mm-hmm.
I have a book that I got years ago, and it's called The Awesome Power of the Listening Heart. And being able to listen without responding, but listen for information and listen to be compassionate. Another thing that I think is really important to what love looks like in real terms is focused attention. Think about that. When somebody has the ability to just be real present with you and just sit, like take, for instance, when somebody dies, right? You all know that I had quite a few years of work with creating materials for the hospice organizations and for the bereaved, right? One of the things that is really healing, you don't even have to have the right words to say when somebody dies. And I had a very good friend die last night. He was a childhood friend, and he died last night of a very, very, very fast moving brain cancer. Went in the hospital December 7, and he died yesterday. And our friends were family, our families were friends, and such. But you don't. I have a pretty easy time with death, quite honestly, because I know that there's more. It's not a black hole of despair when people die. You miss them, but there's more. And in his case, I'm very, very happy that he's not in pain anymore, and he's healed. So I can't feel any bit of regret or remorse or sadness for myself, because I'm so happy that he is in fact with Jesus, and he's healed, and he's not in pain anymore. And I'll see him again, and that's a good thing. So yeah, you don't have to have the right words. You just, a lot of times it's like hanging out with horses. It's just being part of the herd, knowing that they're not alone. That's the most healing. And then be consistent every single minute of your day to do the right thing, where you don't change. That's what horses look at. And if they see somebody that has a spirit that gets blown around by the wind, that is not stable, that is not consistent, oh, they know it. All I have to do is walk somebody down the center of my barn, and the horses will tell me everything I need to know about that person.
That's funny how animals can tell, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
see
it's
that a lot
crazy.
with dogs too.
Yeah, dogs are real intuitive. So are birds. We all have chickens, and chickens are incredibly intuitive.
Yeah, and it's really funny too how much personality chickens have.
Yeah, you see flocks and herds, those animals that are not predators. The flocks and herds, out there, they're tuned to like micro movements. Just small inflections, even like in eyes or whatever. You ever see anybody do one of those body language videos?
I've seen some stuff about that. Yeah,
it's really, really interesting. I love that sort of stuff. But
I saw a video once of some wolves on a hunt.
There are people highlighting the type of potential virus that.
I don't know what they see in each other, but they coordinate their approach. And they can't say, "Hey, Chester, I want you to go left and swing wide and rush up on them when I'm in position on the right." They don't do that. But somehow they know. And their lives depend on that. How do they do that? Is there a telepathy involved? I don't know. Something like that. But I believe that body language definitely plays a role.
I think it's kind of a lot like bees. They have different dances for different meanings, and we're just finally starting to understand what some of those different patterns that they do mean. I think a lot of that also comes with body language in animals, and most of the livestock and even pet animals that we have tend to be very social animals. Anyway, I mean, that's one of the theories about why a lot of our animals have become domesticated, is because the ones that were easy to domesticate tend to be social animals anyway. So I think a lot of that is part of their language, is the body language on them.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's an intangible though too that we pick up on. You ever get that when you're around people and either you really like somebody right off the bat or you just do not like that person right off the bat, and there's no rhyme or reason to it other than it's like, yeah, just get away from me type of a feeling. Gives you creeps.
Well, and like when we have to move chickens around, if somebody's getting picked on or they just need more space and we need to change around the flocks a little bit, a lot of times it works very poorly to move one chicken. You kind of have to look at their buddy groups and make sure that they've got a buddy with them so that they don't feel alone, because otherwise they'll go into a new flock and just get picked on right away. But if they have a buddy with them, a lot of times they'll have a little more confidence and make friends with the rest of the flock a little bit easier.
They watch out for each other. Somebody gets picked on, one of their friends will come up and say, hey, knock it off.
Yeah, and you'll even see within flocks, you'll see different friend groups form. We've got one friend group in one of our flocks that it's all basically that it's all sisters that we raised at the same time, and they have always stuck together, even when we moved them in with another flock because they needed more space. They still stick together even in that other flock. And I mean, they get along with the other flock, but there's still a subgroup within there that's clearly identifiable as these guys are all friends,
Well, this is true with people because I moved around a lot when I was young, and I didn't have a buddy, and I got bullied as a result of that. Moved to a new school, and now, of course, it's 6th grade, and everybody's trying to figure out who they are anyway. I was a year ahead from kindergarten to 1st, so I was younger at an age where everybody's growing really fast. And so I ended up being one of the shorter ones, but also one of the smartest ones in class, while I was one of the youngest ones. And all that added up, plus my parents not making a lot of income, so I wasn't fashionable, and I was able to communicate just as well as everybody else, but nobody listened, right, Donna? So really, really hard to make friends in that kind of scenario. And I was one of those chickens that felt like I needed to just go hide in the corner and circle around the periphery rather than jump right in. I wasn't the confident social bird that I could have been. There was a time just before that, just the year before that, I was in a different scenario. And had moved to that school brand new, but something clicked there, and I had a circle of friends fighting over who would get to sit with me at lunchtime. So it just depends on the situation. When I moved from that school, I was there for a few years. The day I decided I didn't care what everybody else thinks, because I knew I was a good person. It was as if I was that gazelle that was leaping, the pronging that they do. And the wild animals looked at me like, oh, that one's not worth trying to chase anymore. I had people that didn't seem to know I exist just saying hi to me in the hallway, and I was completely shocked. I existed, but I was not a victim anymore. And I was, just starting to figure out who I was, and everything was going good, and then I had to move again. And when I moved to the next school, I realized that the most important aspect was, where do you sit at lunchtime? You got to find the right group of kids to sit with at the lunchtime. And I sat with a group of girls that would pretty much mind their own business, and I never developed strong friendships there, but I made it through. And all of that, we're talking about body language. When you're worried about somebody coming after you in any moment, or somebody observing something in your behavior that they can use as a target or a weapon, you notice everybody's body language, from yours to everybody in the room. Everybody around you all the time. you are that prey animal, and body language is extremely important. And so, yeah, I do tend to pick up on a lot of things that some other people might not. But at the same time, I don't think that I'm as good a judge a character, because I am so like good-hearted. I want to see the innocence in everybody. and I don't see right away sometimes that somebody is a fox in a hen house, you know. But I think that's okay. It's good to see the good in people, and sometimes we have to learn lessons the hard way. So I don't know, but that early experience really shaped who I am in a lot of areas.
I always give people a chance, whether I kind of believe that they're probably a little off base or not. And so, you know, if I think somebody's a little off base, I'm hoping that they'll do the right thing. If they, you know, if they get a little more information, but if they don't, it's hammer time, you know, and because you really want people to do the right thing. You know, you that would be what God would want. God is not happy when someone fails. It's not like he sits back, you know, human beings go, I knew this person was a bad person. And they want to hold it over people's heads, you know, and pretend like they're the keeper of all knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not really a great protocol. You know, it's like giving people a chance, like Robert Kennedy. You know, Donald Trump was a Democrat. He was a Kennedy Democrat. Best friend was JFK Jr. And so, I mean, when you look at that, and you look at where his policies are and his compassion for human beings and such, I think it's a lot more complicated than what most people think it is. Just these labels are what they're using to divide us, right? So I don't know.
Person, not the party.
It's the person, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran on the Constitution Party, which I'm going to remind everybody, we have as the U.S. Taxpayer Party, which is the Constitution Party in the state of Michigan, a very small group of people. But we do have ballot access, which we're going to keep going, right? And the 27th of January, we have a meeting at Center Shot in Door. And guess what? Everybody's welcome. If you're a Democrat, come on over. If you're a Republican, come on over. If you're Libertarian, come on over. We're going to be holding it at Center Shot, which is they've got a gun store and a firearms store and a firearms range there. And hopefully we can get some range time and do some target practice. I love that. I grew up target practicing. And, you know, when I was a kid, everybody where I came from, everybody had firearms, and nobody shot each other. We were taught the respect of those firearms. You made sure that your finger was never on the trigger unless you had something in your sight to shoot. You do not touch the trigger. You do not point the barrel at anyone. You handle that thing as, you know, you have that thing you know, pointed down at all times unless you're ready for business, you know.
I think that's one of the big problems that we have with, you know, quote unquote gun violence now, is that it's not being taught. You know, back when the anti-gun sentiment is, in my opinion, a lot of the cause for a lot of that, because it's not getting people to actually train with it and get familiar with it to the point where they are proficient in the handling of firearms. You know, you see comparisons to Switzerland and how much, you know, they have lots of guns over there, but they don't have any gun violence. Well, you know, that's kind of how the militia system of the United States was patterned, is everyone was supposed to be part of the militia. Everyone was supposed to be trained and well organized, basically, in the use of firearms so that they could defend America from threats, foreign and domestic.
Right.
And that lack of training also comes with a lack of respect for it. And as a result, you get a lot of people that are absolutely careless with them. Careless
Right.
and irresponsible. And I tend to think that that needs to be something that is pretty much required of every American citizen, is to be proficient with a firearm. It is part of our duty as Americans to be able to defend our country.
I agree with that. I'm going to post something because one of our, hang on a minute. One of our speakers at our conference on January 27 is Sheriff Darleaf. And the other one is Paul Urban. I'll get Paul Urban in here too, because Paul has done a wonderful job at United. He works with Weeda County. Now there's Weeda counties in every single county in Michigan, to my knowledge. I like Paul a lot. He's one of the stars of that I met during my active political run, though I'm still not conceding. And I wanted to show you this. So commonlawyer.com. There are some courses in here. Let me see if I can get to them. Militia. This is the new one. So they have all the courses. They have courses here. And so this one's coming out November or February 1. And there's all these different courses. And I sat in on one in Dar's office a while back, and I was listening to it. And it was quite a while ago, actually. And Brent Allen Winters, I've got a couple of books of his. Like here's one right now. Wow, that was great. I had it right sitting there. The Juror Handbook, and he's got several others, which I find to be really informative. But anyhow, Dar has that case going, or that course going on February 1. But he will be at our U.S. Taxpayers Party meeting on the 27th, along with Paul Urban from Weeda County. And we are going to be, the way that we're approaching this from the Taxpayers Party is not bitch sessions like most of the meetings are. I don't care if they're run by issues or if they're run by political parties or whatever, is that we are absolutely using our time as work sessions to educate, but also what can you do? And I think this is really important because, say, like for me here on BNN, like I've said it before, I'm going to say it again because everybody's like, Donna, you got to be into this for something. No, this is all for free. Okay. And I haven't monetized any of it thus far. And unless God tells me to do it, we're going to keep the course here of not doing it that way. But I think it's important to educate each other on what we know and to take the time. But part of educating, think about this, is having patience with people who maybe don't have the knowledge that you've acquired during your life. So if they get something wrong, you got to be, but they're trying, they're really trying. You got to give them a lot of grace because they're at least trying. And there's a big difference between people who are truly evil and just people like, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and all the rest of us, even Donald Trump. I mean, everybody, President Trump, everybody says, well, he made mistakes. Well, he's a human being. What is wrong with you? I mean, if you don't have a God, you might want to look him up, right? And I'm not talking about Lucifer. I'm talking about, go and seek out our Heavenly Father. If you don't know God, then you better find him, because I don't know any human beings that are going to be able to fill that role adequately. And we're all going to make mistakes. And that's where we stand together as one nation under God and point out what's wrong. I mean, I went after Amway and the structure behind the UN this morning, what's going on with the DeVosses and the Van Andels a little bit, the things that I've seen, because I do think that that's pretty telling. But here you go. So commonlawyer.com. Let's go ahead and look into this. And I think from everything that I've seen of the courses that Dar does with Brent, they're pretty beastly packed with information. So it's worth the time. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my Telegram channel again in a minute. So we've got Warren Carpenter, I'm sure, is going to be coming on his appointment this morning, but I wanted him to talk about what's going on with Christina.
Tito was. There were people all over. Like the
this
type
is
of
pretty
potential.
interesting.
There were people. Tito was in some ways.
Kind of interesting. I don't know if there's something else you guys want to talk about. I'm just going to run through some of these posts and interesting.
I ran across something interesting the other day, just on a preparedness note. Let me see if I can look this up a minute.
Okay, I'm going to play that while you find it.
An odd choice for Epps. How did a Trump supporter who believed the 2020 election was stolen end up with a lawyer who's leading the effort to punish Trump's attorneys for questioning the election? Michael Tita runs the 65 Project, which, according to their website, is working with bar associations so that lawyers who subvert democracy will be punished. One of his main allies in this effort, David Brock.
Media Matters, and that takes you right back to Pizzagate and Comet Ping
A
Pong.
major political operative for the Democratic Party, who told Axios in 2022 the idea was also to shame attorneys and make them toxic in their communities and in their firms. Tita was
Interesting, huh?
There were people all around me, and this crowd was forcing me forward, and it was hard to move away. These were mostly, larger, stronger men. I felt a military presence, a military style presence. I don't know who these people were.
Capitol
They didn't
Police.
seem like the same kind of people that I was with at the rally.
Thought that was pretty interesting because that's I've been on this kick to show that there was a lot of people thrown in the gulag, and there were quite a few of them that never made it there. That probably should have been questioned or had something. If there was blind justice under the law, they all would have been questioned, but there wasn't. So why were some of them protected and some of them not? And the point being is that if anybody was there and did not get their sorry behinds thrown in the gulag, why aren't they screaming from the rooftops instead of hiding?
The type of potential virus that would be most infectious. Notice how it eerily predicts parts of COVID transmission. You can have a virus where people feel well enough while they're infectious that they get on a plane or they go to a market.
You yourself can be carrying it. You might not even know it. That'd be the worst thing in the world, is to go to church to worship and to sit next to someone and infect them.
Says someone who is a practicing Satanist. And so I wanted to show you this. Okay, I had some posts on Ford and the DeVos family. I went over there one day and kind of looked at this, and make no mistakes, that Ford Museum is in fact a Kissinger tribute. If you go and you look, you'll see it. Ford got a Maltese cross, and he also got given a lantern, which I find is very, very, very interesting, because I have somebody who has dug into this a little bit, and it is a kind of a tribute. Sort of anyone who got one of these lanterns was actually being acknowledged as part of the cabal who took down President Kennedy in his assassination. And Ford has one. And then in all of the pictures that are in the Ford Museum, it is very clear that Ford's mouth is shut in everything, and Kissinger is giving the orders. So there's several walls in there that if you go in and you look, you'll see it real clearly that Kissinger is giving the orders, and he was in several administrations. I think that's significant. And then want to look at what's happening with Amway, besides the fact that there are some real questionable practices there. This is the CEO of Amway, and his name is Milan Pant, and he just met with Xi in China as well as Biden. And I want to take a look at the picture behind him here, which is kind of interesting. But there are so many occult symbolisms, and when you go through things such as some of the nonsense in the UN and the connections there, you can clearly see that the World Economic Forum, the UN, and some of these partnerships, these public-private partnerships that Tudor Dixon kept talking about, are well in play, and they're all working together. So here's an article that I found with U.S.-China Business Council elects new board members at consequential time in the bilateral relationship. China Business Council announced the election of officers and board members, including the new chair, Mark N. Casper, chairman and president of Thermo Fisher Scientific. But it gets worse than that, because I published some of these people. We've got Honeywell, the Carlyle Group, which if you've done any studying at all, you'll be able to see that The Carlisle Group has some really interesting connections. UL, Steptoe and Johnson, U.S. China Business Council, Craig Allen. He's the president of that. And then let's go on. We've got Boeing, Qualcomm Incorporated, Wynn Resorts, the Cohen Group. That's another one that comes up a lot when you're researching the global connections. Nike, JP Morgan, Chase Wealth Management, Dow Air Products. And lo and behold, what do we have? Mylan Plant, Chief Executive Officer of Amway. We have Cargill, we've got Walmart, Corning, Edelman, and Emerson. This is really telling, guys. And I think that we need to realize that let's see if I've got it here. The top 20, or so business entities that have connections to China are very, very telling. And so these people that are running everything, say the World Economic Forum, UNESCO, the World Health Organization, all of them, they're kind of connected. So UN, and guess who's talking with UN? Let's look back at what's happening here in Michigan. Michigan just seems like a hotbed of connections here. And why? I did post something this morning that showed that the illusion that's going on that Detroit is a big city is no longer true. They have ruined it. It's about 500,000 in population, whereas Grand Rapids, Michigan is about 1.3. When the COVID money was passed out, and I have a spreadsheet of this in hand, I believe that Detroit got somewhere around $40 million in COVID aid for education. Grand Rapids got about 1.2. And we're more than twice that. So why are they giving $40 million to Detroit? So I've got kind of a probably a jaded look at this, but we've got an international port there, can traffic kids through there like crazy. They've ruined the city and impoverished a good deal of the population so that they're kind of stuck there as far as not getting any real help, because their money, the people who are in charge are money laundering this stuff away from the population like there's no tomorrow. It's like passing out Tic Tacs themselves, and got a little bit of a problem with that. But you have to look at what they're doing. This is all an illusion. Just like our elections are illusion, so is the illusion that Detroit is in fact a large city and a powerhouse, maybe for the globalists, but I digress. So anyhow, if you go to Brandenburg, at BrandenburgForMI, you'll see all kinds of stuff. And today, later, after I get this video watermarked, I'm sure we're going to hear a few more screaming bobcats out there. Don't really care. Go ahead and scream all you want. I think that I would love to talk to those that are screaming. You should talk to me about it, and we can figure out how to work together to get those people out of the gulag. That would be awesome. Let's see what Ralph gave me here. We've got emergency health products.
Yeah, so this was an interesting thing that I got passed along to me, that they sell kits. They've got a medical emergency kit, and then they've got a COVID emergency kit. And they contain a whole bunch of different prescription medications for treating various illnesses in an emergency. And the way that these work is apparently what you do is you have a medical consultation with them over the like electronically, remote medical consultation, and then they write you a prescription, and then they fill it to be able to get you these medical kits. And it looked like kind of an interesting resource.
Okay, so they've got COVID emergency, medical emergency kits. Let's see what they have.
If you scroll down a little bit, you can see what all's in it.
Add to the cart. Let's see what is in it.
No, keep going. Keep going. There we go.
Oh, look at that. Wow. That's cool. So you've got all kinds of antibiotics. You've got diflucan, which is they usually use that for fungal infections. And Odessa, I don't know what Zofran is. What's Zofran for?
I'm not sure.
So, but
they got Flagyl. They've got ivermectin.
Flagyl is an antiparasitic. Know that one. And so what I know about amoxicillin is a gentler, that's a much gentler antibiotic than azithromycin, the Z-Packs. Has a
It's
little less.
related to penicillin. Do not take it if you're allergic to penicillin.
Doxycycline is very, very mild and for long-term problems. And then, of course, ivermectin. And that's kind of interesting. Wow.
Yeah. So, and
What
then
was
if you
that?
take a look under med kits and go to their COVID one, it has a
Okay.
different set of medications for being able to treat, different other things.
Ooh, and there you go. You can do a gift card to them. So we have
Yeah, they
like a
do make it very
nebulizer.
clear that you can't buy these or use them for other people. These, if you buy it, it is for you because they write the prescription for you. But it looks like that it is a pretty straightforward thing to go through this.
Look at that. It's
Yeah,
like
there you go.
budesonide. I think that's how you say it. Budesonide with a nebulizer. This is really interesting. Very interesting. And check this out. They actually even have gift cards. All right, I'll allow your things. And they have memberships. Basic membership, med kit, supplements. Always like supplements.
Yeah, so I got this passed to me, and I thought, oh, this is a pretty interesting resource for anyone that likes to be prepared.
Yeah, spike support. This is kind of cool. Pre-COVID days. Look at that. Yeah, everybody should have nattokinase in their back pocket.
Yep, nattokinase and vitamin K2.
Yep, all of those. Everybody should be taking those. Okay, I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, it's got nattokinase in it.
It does. I saw that right off the bat. And dandelion extract.
And Irish sea moss.
Yeah, I've actually seen dandelion extract or dandelion root is a really good cancer killer, from what I've seen. Green tea too. There's a lot of seeming to be interesting things there. So there's a couple of things that I found out recently, and I'm going to break this one of these days too. And that is the fact that in 2012, there appears to be a patent for leukemia, and which I find very, very interesting. And that somebody has come forward and said that they launched something. They're chasing this down, having to do with swine flu. So I think we can all be looking further into some of these cancers, like my friend that died last night, and the turbo cancers and such, to say, this is interesting. Appears that Japan said that there's not one part of COVID that was not man-made.
So another interesting thing there, if you go under virtual care, they have vaccine injury virtual consultations with a doctor.
%25 of people have post-shot symptoms. And wow.
So yeah, this place seemed like a real interesting resource.
I would say so too. Look at that. And who do we have there? We have, let's see who we have there. This could be really interesting. Love to get these guys on. Let's talk to them.
Yeah, I think if you go, where is it?
Very familiar to me.
Virtual care there, and then if you go meet the chief medical board over on the left side.
Got it. Peter McCullough. That's Heather Giesling, Harvey Rich, and Richard Armerling, Jennifer Vandewater, Robert Seek. That's amazing. Well, there you go. I'm going to see if I can have these people on. Let's see if I can get a phone number for them.
Yeah, that'd be real interesting to talk to these folks.
Yeah, hey, there you go. There's your Christmas present right there. Give a gift card to maybe save somebody's life, you know? That's pretty darn cool. Look at that. Warrior Wellness membership. I wonder what that is.
I don't know. I didn't look at that.
Enjoy free shipping on all products. Oh. Free shipping. Discount prices on vitamins. Chewable vitamin C. I used to have a supplement I used to take. They're called Stress Mates. And they stopped making it. It was from Twin Labs. I used to eat those things like sweet tarts. They were awesome. Wish they'd bring it back in and chewable stuff.
Something I've on the water soluble vitamin thing. Something I've found out in the last year or so is I've always had issues with headaches, a lot of really bad headaches, and I had them all my life. Something I found that really does seem to help quite a bit is taking massive doses of vitamin B2.
Really?
And yeah, it's something that I hadn't really heard about, and I ran across a study on it that showed that vitamin B2 helped with migraines in a lot of people. And I thought, well, I don't know how much credence I put into that. There's a lot of studies out there, and I only saw the one study. I'm sure there's probably others someplace, but I figured, well, it's inexpensive enough. Might as well try it. And it does actually seem to help. I mean, it doesn't fix headaches, but it certainly takes down the frequency and duration of them.
Hey, I can tell you what's wrong. You know what the root of it, the headaches are?
What's that?
You're a freaking IT guy. Your brain's too big for your skull.
Well, that is probably part of it. Not the brain too big for the skull thing, but the IT guy sitting in front of a computer so much thing.
Yeah, IT guys have big brains. just telling you. All the rest of us know it. Man, never mess with a true IT guy. They can totally screw with you. Yeah, it's like you don't mess with a guy in the company that has access to all of your IT, because they're just like, yep, yeah, you just got put 2 weeks out on getting your computer working again. We know how you guys operate, okay? That's why IT guys get chocolates left on their table.
Well, you got to know everything is compromised, and a lot of times that in IT, kind of your goal really is to be invisible. If you are visible anywhere, it's because something broke down and something's wrong. So if you can keep everything working properly, you should be pretty much invisible and just be there supporting everybody else, making sure that everybody can do their work efficiently and without things breaking down as much as possible. And with that, everything electronic has some kind of a security vulnerability pretty much to it. Everything is compromised in some way or another. And that kind of invisible protection is, you spend a lot of time just kind of behind the scenes, making sure everybody is safe, not even from external threats, from things that people do that they don't even realize is harmful to them. All kinds of different threats. You do a lot of security and threat management of
surveillance. Just surveillance,
protection, and you try and do that without doing. You want to give people their privacy as much as you can, and so you also have that with any of that responsibility or any of that. Anytime you have access to information, you've also got to be able to have the fortitude to protect that information and make sure that that person has privacy and security on their own stuff as well.
Do the right thing under all circumstances is what it comes down to. It's kind of what you're really describing is a mentality of a parent. Parents should be protecting their children instead of throwing them out there, but protecting their children And that can be, Jesus even said it, who is my mother, who is my father, who is my, who is my sister. We have a responsibility to each other to protect each other from things that are harmful to us, not to take advantage of them. One of the best stories, and not, the best accounts, I'm not going to call it a story, I'm going to call it an account, I think I ever heard in my life. And I do think that this gets missed a lot, is that you have to call out evil and for what it is. But people fail, right? And you're hoping that they turn around and they repent and they turn away from hurting other people. But one of the best accounts of and examples of love that I like to refer to is when Noah got drunk in his tent, right? And he had 3 sons. First one came in, Ham, and saw his dad there laying there naked and passed out, and ran out of the tent making fun of him and telling everyone about his failings. And the 2 sons that loved him walked in backwards, didn't even look on his nakedness, covered him up, and walked out and never mentioned it again. And I think that that's when we do things in life and we make mistakes, it's not to when somebody falls, it's not to gloat over it or feel happy about it. It's to kind of say, come on. Or if somebody's got problems with drugs or alcohol or any of those things that are pretty well self harming, you really want to help them and give them a hand and say, come on, I'll love you back into this. Come here, buddy, give me a hug here. And, you can do it. We can do this together, and help them. I don't know. I mean, I've tried to employ a lot of people who have over the years who have substance abuse issues. I have employed several of them. And it's one of those things that I'll call them every single day. Make sure, hey, buddy, how you doing today and what's happening, and pray with them if that's what they want to do, but really look into, really be there to care for them. Because if people that have addictive problems, it's generally because they have poor coping mechanisms for this completely screwed up world we live in. How many people you actually know that actually give a crap about anything? So if you don't have anybody that are like that, I mean, I know who my real friends are in life. And 2 of them are sitting right here on the screen with me, right? But, you know who your real friends are, who actually care, not just about you, but about this world and about God's purposes. Those are the real friends right there, because you know that if you're in a situation and you see something bad happening, those are the people that are going to jump in and see the same things that are wrong and say, okay, how are we going to tackle this together?
Yep.
Become the guardians of the galaxies. That's what we are. We're guardians of the galaxy. That only not the pedophile ones that come out of Disney.
And that's one of the issues that I have with the way that a lot of the surveillance stuff is handled. Is it really violates that
trust.
Yeah, it violates that principle of you may have information, but it doesn't mean that you are entitled to look at that information. I may be backing up somebody's computer, but it doesn't mean I have a right to look at their files. I have done data recovery for folks before where I've had to try and recover a failed hard drive. I didn't look at what was on there, and I made a point to make sure that they knew that I didn't look at what was on there. I just salvaged the hard drive, gave them a new hard drive with their existing data, but I don't know what's on there. I didn't even look. I recovered as much stuff as I could, but that is their data, and I am not entitled to look at that. I may be in a privileged position to be able to at that point, but I didn't keep a copy of it. I didn't look at it when I had the ability to, because that is their data, and it's a critical thing when you're in IT to be able to protect that, protect and defend all of your users from that kind of a threat. That they should have a right to privacy and to feel secure in that right. And that's a major issue that I have with a lot of the surveillance stuff is well, we have this information. Why don't we use it for this? Well, we have this information and we're already using it for this thing. Why don't we use it for this other thing? And it just erodes privacy to the point where you can justify each step down the slippery slope by each previous step down the slippery slope until you have warped the entire system to fit a warped ethical view.
That's such a huge discussion to have, is the ethics. So like somebody said the other day, they're like, how many connections does Brandenburg have? A lot. And I have a lot of people that they know that I will never reveal my sources. If I tell somebody, if they tell me something, there's not a chance that I would ever divulge it to one person. Not even to somebody that's really close to me. I wouldn't tell them a thing. And because I protect people's privacy and their trust. If somebody puts their trust in you, you should never violate it. There are other ways to get things done, but you should not violate the trust of somebody that's confided in you ever. And it's a loyalty thing too, you know. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. There's always other ways around the backside. You know, the videos that I posted the other day that had, I think it was Captain Matthew, never met him, or Genevieve Peters, never met either one of them. My point isn't that they necessarily did anything wrong. My point on that was that the FBI did something wrong. Why were some people convicted and thrown in the gulag and not others? You either have to prosecute them all, blind justice under the law, or let them all go. And my point is that every single person should be out there screaming from the rooftops, enough of this political prisoner crap. People have died because of it, just like what Whitmer did here in the nursing homes. Third-party murder, anybody that's involved in this, it's third-party murder. And this is going to come out someday. We may just be the first one shouting that from, shouting the truth out there. But anyone that's involved in this is guilty of third-party murder, just like Whitmer. And pretty much from what I can see, everyone's sitting in the seats of the Michigan legislature and the executive branch because they didn't stop it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to note that this is beyond party. This crosses party lines.
Right.
Like I posted last night that I had heard that they canceled the vote regarding Karamo. And, I sit from a distance because I'm not invested in the party myself. So I can objectively look at it without an emotional reaction, like a lot of people are doing. And I try to do that with a lot of things going on because there's a lot of things that you could get emotional on really quickly nowadays. And that's what they want. So I just sit back and think about it. In the grand scheme of things, the whole party system, as you and I have talked about many times on the show, the whole party system needs to go away. Mm-hmm. So why would I be invested in what happens with the GOP? I'm observing because I think there's a lot of lessons that we're learning in the process of it. So you're asking a bunch of questions about what's going on with that particular party. I haven't a clue what's going on with the Democrat Party these days. I don't hear about their in-party politics. It doesn't matter to me. And really, it doesn't matter to me what the GOP politics are within the party, because I feel like it's going to collapse anyway. I used the example of a car crash I had. It was actually right next to home, and thick layer of ice on the dirt road, T-section. And I started to slide. My tires lost their grip. I knew I was going to hit the trees right in front of me. There was nothing I could do to stop that. But I didn't want to hit the front end of the car, have my airbag go off, lose my engine, crumple up the engine at all. And I was going really slowly, so it was like slow motion anyway. But I turned my wheel because I knew how to fishtail. I hadn't had a whole lot of experience in that, but I fishtailed the back end, but I still couldn't prevent the whole right-hand side of the car from getting bumped along those trees. And it totaled the car. Saved me, totaled the car. And I ended up driving that car for another about 5 years. I bought it out. I only had to pay about 2.5 payments on the car, which was great. But the moral of the story is I thought of that last night while thinking about the party. Does it matter who's in charge of the party? Whether it's Karamo or Melinda or somebody else, and then who's going to want that job? Because it's so bad already. It's like, if I could ask somebody to take my place in that car, who would want to get in the driver's seat? It's going to crash. It's crashing. Who wants to have that on their resume if they want to be in politics?
Nobody can get
Well,
along.
I
Because
saved
they're all
it from...
trying to, there's no followers. You cannot have an organization unless you have people that are willing to follow. And to be a good leader, you have to be a great follower. And that means looking at what needs to be done without taking credit or always having things your own way. You know, looking at the structure, but that's not happening. It's completely divided. The whole entire thing is divided because we've got too many people that are setting themselves up as little sages instead of moving forward. And it's a cult. The setup of it is a cult. And I don't mean occult, I mean a cult, because they get in it, they get vetted by the cult, and they only progress if they do certain things for the cult, and they follow the marching orders of the cult, which is by and large being funded by the globalists at this point in time. Look at Ron Weiser. Ron Weiser is a globalist. He's on the Atlantic Council, and I don't care what you say. All of them. When I look at everybody there, if you start looking into their background, you'll see some people have connections in the MIGOP to Rice University, to people that are involved in Rice University, into experiments with bioluminescence crossing the blood-brain barrier. It's there. All you got is look. And then look at it, you know, besides the amount of felons and bankruptcies and all of this stuff that's in the leadership of the MIGOP. Do we think these people are patriots? Honestly, I kind of don't think so. I think they know how to scam the system. You know, that's it's just another politician that's scamming the system. And that's all I see. I'm not seeing anybody that's sitting at the top that doesn't fit that category, and which is really sad. But the party system will never work. The dynamics there are absolutely toxic, and they're set up for grifting and for its special interest. Yeah. So it really has to go top to bottom. Now, Taxpayers Party has ballot access until, you know, this whole thing is gone and torn down, the party system. At least we've got an option with ballot access, and we don't play games. There's no party politics going on there. There's no game. If people are honest and they really want to take the nation back, and they're going to show up and be respectful and act like statesmen and not like crazy people. You know, we had one person there that showed up at one of our meetings that was pushing like axe my tax or something like that. Came in and basically tried to take over the entire meeting, wouldn't shut up for over an hour. And finally I interrupted her and said, you know, this is enough. And in the meantime, we were looking up her background and found out that some of the things that she was saying was not exactly representative of what she was saying. Never involved in politics, but had 3 pages of donations to political entities. Christina Karamo was one of them, and quite a few too. And for somebody not being involved in politics ever until this time, there was a lot of $1,500 donations. Kind of shocking, really. So you got to listen to people and watch what they do. Infiltrators will be, absolutely eviscerated on the spot if they come into the Taxpayers Party, because I can tell you right now that 3 of us sitting on the top won't tolerate it. You know, but if it's a person that wants to come in because they're just a person that wants to help, that's one thing. With political operatives, nah, we're not going to deal with the craziness.
And that's the trick with the Republican Party right now. Who do they have in that party who would qualify to actually make a difference with the situation at hand?
Not one of them.
And have the willingness, you know, the true patriotic spirit to be able to turn it around. And I just don't see it happening. So people are getting really emotional about what happens with Christina or what happens with Melinda or anybody else in the party. And I just, grand scheme of things, I just don't think it matters. And I'm not going to get upset about it.
Melinda took way too long to address this, in my opinion. And I like Melinda, but just from a structural standpoint, I'm glad she signed the letter, you know, and finally did something. But why did it take so long?
I don't know.
Lack of, you know, a leader's going to go in here and see the problem and watch something that's starting to slide off to the side, going to boom, nip it in the bud before it becomes a catastrophic failure. Right now, the entire party is a catastrophic failure. They know none of the donors that are going to do anything, because why would they? They're $600,000 in debt. So what are we going to do? Try to bail them out with that kind of debt when they couldn't manage it the last time?
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't give them a dime, and I would have jumped in to help them. I would have jumped in to help them in some form or another, right? But not a chance. I'm not that stupid to put stupid money, you know, bad money after worse money. There's or good money after bad money. That would be absolutely.
This is why. Yep. This is why I resigned the January after I became a precinct delegate, because I watched the election process and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. That was horrible. And this was not recent. I think this was like 2 years ago now. But I said, I'm not giving them another $100 or whatever it was for annual membership fee. I'm not giving them that. I don't want to give them anything right now. I've seen enough. I'm out. And I still got invited as a delegate to go see Trump later. And I said, that's really kind of you to invite me to sit with the delegates, but I'm not a delegate anymore. I resigned. Well, you're still a delegate technically until the next fall. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I resigned. I stand by my word. Even if I could go, you know, sit closer to Trump at a event or something. I'm like, no, I'm not going to pretend to be somebody I'm not, and I'm not going to give money to a party I don't believe in.
I agree with that.
So I think that's a lot of too where a lot of the party stuff gets in trouble is when I think a lot of the cause of it is because there's so much money involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of the big advantages of the smaller parties is anybody that's in it for the money is not going to be in the smaller parties because there ain't no money there. You know, the people that are in the smaller parties are there, like the Taxpayers Party. They're there for idealistic reasons purely.
That's it.
Because there's no other motivation for it. There's no other possible motivation for it. You know, because there's nothing there there's nothing there to steal, to commandeer, to take.
To make money off of, to turn into an industry. It's raw effort on the behalf of the people that are involved. That's what it is. And I think that's the way that true patriots have always been, is that actually get in the fight and do something, right? Yeah. If either one of you guys wanted to run for an office, I'd contribute to you. Or somebody else that I knew. And I knew that for a fact that they've got a track record, not because they're on some stupid voter guide, like, you know, save the shrimp on the treadmills or the SEAL Club, you know. I mean, we've already been through this, right? Yeah. So I had to bring up some more SEAL videos here because that's a lot more fun to talk about than politicians. But
I think we all need to join the SEAL Club.
Oh, join the SEAL. Okay, so that's what we should do. The SEAL Club, the random SEAL Club.
Turn it around. We'll make sure they're on the up and up.
Yeah.
They're not laundering money. Laundering money overseas to, what did you say, Nairobi?
Laundering fish.
Laundering fish. That's what it is. It's going to be the SEAL Club. We will make payments to the SEALs and fish. That's it.
Yes.
Oh, all right. You know what's going to happen, don't you?
No.
Yes. We're going to do this. We're waiting for Warren to see if he shows up today. Let me see if Warren's going to come on today. I know he had an appointment, but I was trying to get him on today. Come on. Where are you, Warren?
Well, have you guys seen, I think it's Teddy the Golden Retriever?
Hilarious.
Those are great.
Hang on a second.
They got family's got a golden retriever, and they put this dog into situations doing basically human things.
Okay, I was going to do the seal rescue from Namibia, but let's try Teddy.
I sent Donna a bunch of stupid links yesterday because I just felt like maybe I was seeing this stuff and I was like, Donna likes stupid stuff, but I don't send her all the stupid stuff I see. I just send her stupid stuff when I know that she's probably in a position that she can handle it and she might find it interesting. I send her goats.
Sense of humor. I find everything funny, right?
I sent her goats. I sent her this one with the woman that thinks she's getting a Christmas puppy.
I swear that's the ugliest dog I have ever seen in my life.
She's so excited about getting a Christmas puppy. And she's like, you got me a puppy. And she's all emotional. And then she looks at its face and she starts retching because it's such an ugly dog. She actually is physically retching like she's going to vomit because the dog, it's not a puppy. It's a Chihuahua. And he's got like the worst teeth and he's got cataracts and his tongue's sticking out. And the poor dog is like, what?
Nice.
What is the Teddy channel called? I've got to
never know what you're gonna get on BNN.
Looks like maybe a guy and a golden.
A guy and a golden. Okay, I gotta choose. All right, you guys want to see something funny? This is absolutely hilarious. Hey, I can't help it. I'm an animal person. So you're all hoping and praying that Warren Carpenter comes on here to save you all from seal rescue and golden retriever puppies that are funny. So absolutely hilarious. Okay, here we go. We'll see. Yeah, a guy in a golden. This is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I love it when his teeth get stuck on his lips. The dog, when he smiles. Okay, this is hilarious. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I swear to you, we're gonna do it. Here we go. Let me see if I can get this up here and hopefully avoid the prostate medicine.
Hey.
Okay, hang on.
Here for the sleepover. Coming in. Oh, what's
okay,
up?
We're gonna go to Teddy here. Hang on a minute.
Donna needs a producer.
Nah, we just gotta wait. This is real news for real people. By real people at the kitchen table, and I have to pay somebody. I don't want to pay anybody. I'm doing this for free. Okay, here we go. Here's Teddy.
Coming in. Oh, what's up, Teddy? Let's get this party started. Airbud never gets old. You're sleeping already? You never fall asleep first at a sleepover. I slept like a rock. Oh man, I feel great. Hey! Poor Teddy.
Now we got a prank war going on.
He has his own TV.
Yes, he's got his own TV in there. Game on, puppy.
Teddy, we have a vet appointment in 15 minutes. We gotta go. go. Teddy, you get back. You gotta be kidding me. Teddy?
So he has his own door, but he always goes through the crawl through spot.
You in trouble?
Okay, Teddy's
When
fun,
I find
right?
my truck keys, we're going. I'm going out tonight. Here is my card for pizza only. Don't go buy a new car or something. Bye.
I have a meme with a golden retriever at a computer.
Teddy? Not again.
Teddy! You are grounded. Making my dog pay rent for his house.
Teddy?
Okay, we can go on forever with the Teddy videos because it's absolutely hilarious. I like the short ones when he's got a short one in there too, where a dog's like lip keeps getting stuck on his teeth, and it's absolutely hilarious. I'll see if I can find it. But talk amongst
The
yourselves.
eyes are great.
I know he's hilarious. Talk amongst yourselves.
I
Used to have a
still think
husky. Go ahead.
a good collie type dogs. I'll just leave it at that. Very good expressive faces.
Used to have a husky, and he was the same way. He had the eyebrows, you know.
Yeah,
It's really kind of
Starting tomorrow, this
it's really
odd
kind of
right
amazing
in your
how,
life.
if you look at like animation, how much expression you can get out of a character just using the eyebrows.
Oh yeah.
here,
like-
I'll since I'm the only one with the eyebrows on the show here, I'll do it.
For example, I mean, probably one of the best examples I can give of that, distilling it down to just the eyebrows and having very little else in the character on the character's face to express emotion. Look at the dog Gromit from Wallace and Gromit.
Uh-huh.
And that's like one of the only things on his face other than body language that they express emotion with, and they do a great job of it. And it really is kind of it's fitting for, you know, for a dog, because there's so much of dogs' expression that you see in their eyebrows.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because just the other day, my husband and I were talking about how, like there was a Call of the Wild with Harrison Ford, and they used a real dog to model, and they might have used portions of a dog acting in the movie, but they also used a lot of CGI kind of character. And I hate that. I hate it when they make dogs go, you know, like dogs are not Scooby-Doo. You don't need to have them make sounds all the time and act like they understand everything we say, because that's not realistic. And I hate that. Like,
Well,
do
it
it real or
depends.
do it fake. You can't do it both ways. But I just watched
You blew my whole
yesterday.
day, Karen. I thought they did.
I don't know, if you've had a husky, they talk a lot.
So yesterday, I watched the original Call of the Wild movie. I don't know if I've ever seen it before. They used a Saint Bernard as Buck, and I really enjoyed the dog. The rest of the drama wasn't as good as I was hoping for, but there's like this romance. I was like, get over the romance. I want to see the dog. Well, every time the wolves howled, the dog go, woo. You know, he had this big old head that the actor would grab, and the dog would grab him by the arm, and they clearly had chemistry. I was like,
Nice.
they actually had a dog that acted like a dog, and he was trained. He clearly had some training, but it wasn't overdone like he's staring at the trainer off scene or anything.
Well, that's cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
He was actually being a dog.
Yeah, our husky was oh man, he would talk all the time, and you could talk to him, and he would talk back to you. He just making all kinds of little noises, and they are very, very talkative dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and they do howl. They
Oh, yes.
howl a lot.
Yes. Which is why I don't have one.
Yeah.
Well, one reason why I don't have one.
That's one of the things, though, that I love about guinea fowl is guineas talk all the time. Chickens have a very limited set of sounds that they make.
Oh, limited?
Yeah, compared to a guinea.
Oh, this is going to be a farm brawl happening right here. I can see it happening right now. The farm brawl has begun.
Chickens, you can understand them pretty well just by looking at their body language and stuff. Guineas, you don't even have to look at them because you can hear them hundreds of feet away talking to each other and know exactly what they're saying because they've got so many different calls. They've got one call.
Okay, well, I did not know they had so many different kinds of calls, but they all sound very loud and obnoxious to me, so that's why I don't have them. I had the 2 that I caught in the yard one day for like 24 hours. No, less than a day. I think I got rid of them that night. I got them cut in a crate, and I put them in the front yard hoping that maybe somebody would stop by, because I think it was right after we had a storm that they must have got loose, and they had been out and around the neighborhood for a few days. So I finally caught them because they kept coming around our chickens. I put them in a pen and I put them on Facebook, and nobody seemed to know who they belonged to, but I did find somebody who was willing to take them, and I'm like, take them.
Okay, here we go.
Well, it's like they've got one call that I've only ever heard them make when okay, so chickens have got kind of a hierarchical social structure. They got the pecking order.
Yeah.
Guineas are like a hive mind. They travel around as a group, and so if they're out and about,
they do.
You'll see them just kind of like an amorphous blob of guineas someplace going hunting bugs. There's one sound I've only ever heard them make when one of them has gone off exploring and is trying to call the rest of the flock over and basically saying, hey guys, I found something tasty and you should come join me. And I've only ever heard him make that sound when in that exact situation. They've got a couple of different sounds for when they're happy. They've got so many different calls. Their vocabulary is huge. And it drives a lot of people nuts because they're so talkative, and a lot of people really dislike guineas. That's one of the things I love about them, though, is they're so verbally expressive. You can always tell what they're thinking.
The military loves them. They're like watchdogs.
They're not messenger pigeons.
Watchbirds. Okay, check this out. So this is a Wallace and Gromit. So let's look at eyebrows since we went there.
That's what happens when you don't separate males and females in rabbits.
It was a long, hard night last night, Gromit. I'll need a good, hearty breakfast under my belt. Pile it up, lad. I'm in the mood for food. Oh, Gromit, old pal. Happened again. I'll need assistance.
Middle-aged
His
sprout.
eyebrows are going all over the place.
It's hilarious.
Oh, thanks, Chuck. I'm sure that hole's getting smaller.
Yeah, I wish my dog would bring me breakfast in the morning instead of the other way around.
It must be getting a bit full down there. Talking of which, now for a great big plate of vegetables. Still got me on the diet, eh, Gromit? Watching me shave? There's a good dog. Gromit, lad, how is that prize melon of yours coming on? Must be a while since you measured it.
He's got plans. It's going to be cheese. It's going to be the next step. So,
Yeah, you look at the eyebrows there, and it is kind of very much like looking at the eyebrows of a very expressive dog.
Too funny. So, well, that's a fun one to play. So, I'm going to assume that Warren's meeting went a little longer than he thought it was going to be, but he's going to be on tomorrow. So he said that he would come on for a little bit today, and then tomorrow he'll be on. So we're just going to go ahead and wait for him tomorrow. But anything else you guys want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know.
There is a lot going on. I mean, a lot. I posted yesterday. I was in the middle of all this stuff that's going on, and I was like, it's still December. It's still 2023. January is going to be crazy. We always do that. We're like, oh, next March is going to be March Madness. Like you can, I don't do the dates thing, but I know there's a lot going on and will continue to be. And it's going to be fascinating next year what happens with all these. Oh, did you see the Michigan Supreme Court ruling yesterday?
I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
You are posting a lot of my stuff. This is great. Great. Thank you. I'm going through your channel right now.
I didn't post anything from this morning because I thought, well, wait and see what all you talk about and then share it.
Karen, the Ultra Riveter. This is what Karen posted. On the Hill, Michigan Supreme Court on Wednesday rejected an attempt to remove former or current president, the rightful President Trump, from a state's primary ballot. Dun, dun, dun. And all God's people say, go President Trump. We love you. Here we go.
They're just going to keep trying whatever they can. I still kept finding some interesting thoughts because of the redistricting issue.
There he is.
You talk about, Detroit. I think they're still trying to save Michigan in some way for the election. And if they can maybe get the black vote, but then I saw a post yesterday about a BLM protester, or however they describe this person, a member of BLM, said that they were going to vote for Trump. And I said, so you've got members of BLM who are out there now saying, now they used to be protesting against the things that Trump has been for. They used to be protesting his rallies and so on. But now they're going to vote for Trump. I think they have to redistrict Detroit in order to try to save a Michigan vote, and it ain't going to happen. There's nothing they can do to change the results for Michigan. Michigan is going Trump this time around.
Nothing can stop what is coming.
Nothing can stop. But it's like you can see that they've got no plan B, but they're pretending like they do. And it's kind of entertaining to me watching the strategies that they're coming up with, because I just don't see that it's going to work.
So Debbie Dingell of Michigan is a loser who helped crooked Joe Biden and his merry band of thugs to destroy our country. There you go. With insane open border policy, inflation, high cost of energy, green new scam, horrible world diplomacy, Afghanistan catastrophe, all electric cars. Do you see that? $60,000 to replace an EV battery, which was more than what they pay for the car. That's crazy. Who buys into this kind of nonsense? They certainly need to go back to kindergarten and, economics 101.
We definitely need to go to the true green energy, net carbon zero transportation medium of
horses.
Yes, horses and steam power.
There you go.
Specifically wood-fired steam power.
There you go. Well, you better just get on that a minute, Ralph.
Yeah. I love steam power. It's simple. It's easy to make steam engines that function. If you've got very low tolerance machining, the tolerances for anything that you have to machine for a steam engine are so high that the general principle is it doesn't matter what you do, you can make a steam engine that'll work. It's just the better you can machine it, the more efficient it'll be.
There you go.
And,
Gun tycoon Gaston Glock is 94 is dead. This is on Karen's channel right now, guys. It's Karen the Ultra Riveter on Telegram. She's a beast poster. Amazing.
I don't, thank you. I don't know a whole lot about the Glock company or its history or whatever. What I do know is that a lot of law enforcement officers use Glocks. They're pretty popular handgun for common folk to use as well as law enforcement or security people.
I cannot confirm or deny whether I own one or not.
It's very common, though. It's very common.
So there you go. There's another one from our beloved president, the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump. Love him.
Oh, there's one thing I was thinking about that we probably ought to talk about. This was something that was in the news that is kind of the implications of this are something to think about, and that's that up until a few days ago, Sony's agreement with Discovery Network for content broke down, and they patched it up a couple of days ago, so this part is no longer the case. But during the talks, they were saying that people who had bought Discovery Network's content on the PlayStation Network, so like where they had quote unquote bought seasons of like Mythbusters, for example,
which is a great show, I might add,
that those would get deleted. I love Adam Savage's. He has kind of continued on in a series about making things. I love watching his stuff. The guy is amazing. But anyway, basically, because the agreement between Sony and Discovery broke down, they were going to be deleting all of that content out of everybody's accounts when everybody had assumed they had bought that content. And it was just going to be, gone because of something outside of their control. They hadn't actually bought it. They had just had a, limited license to it, which in my mind, that really should be something that would be like a fraudulent transaction or at least false advertising, because purchasing something shouldn't be just purchasing a temporary license to it. But I digress. That ended up getting patched up, so that's not going to happen anymore. But think about this, that with anything digital like that, if you're buying something and it's digital, there's a very good possibility that you may not actually be buying it.
I've seen that on the App Store.
Yep.
I've seen that, and in iTunes, I've seen music disappear.
Yep. It happens, and
it does regularly.
And it's critical that people understand the distinction there and actually purchase things when they intend to actually purchase things. And so I'm a huge proponent of, and I mean, I've seen this in the ebook space as well. I am a huge proponent of printed books. I think everyone should have a stock of printed books because
and CDs or something,
CDs for
digital
music,
files for music, because I've seen, and I don't subscribe to, like, what is it, the subscription, iTunes, or whatever. I think YouTube has one. I always buy the music, right? And I've seen it disappear.
Yep. Make sure you have an actual physical copy of things, though, because there's instances of them changing books
And terms.
Yep, and terms. I mean, I think just recently the James Bond series was rewritten to be more befitting of modern sensibilities or something like that, you know.
Oh, you mean they got rid of hate speech? Because now it's all hate speech.
Yeah, and they rewrote a whole bunch of the different characters in it and that sort of thing. And even if you look at the NIV translation of the Bible, that has changed over time. And so I really am a strong proponent that you need to have some kind of physical media of anything that you value. Make sure you have a physical copy of it that can't be changed, that can't be deleted, that can't be, if there's an EMP, that it doesn't just wipe it all out.
The resources, how to do things.
Yep.
And antique bookstores are your best friends.
Oh yeah. I got a really interesting, I've gotten a couple of really interesting books at antique stores lately. One of them was about chemical engineering, and specifically what was really interesting about it is that a large component of that book was about how to properly organize the logistics for large scale production of things. Not even just chemistry, but it was about basically industrial production logistics, and most of the book was about that, and it was really interesting. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that if you value it, you should have a physical copy of it.
And industrial processes are fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, even and this goes not just even for mass produced things, but also for, like, if you've got family photos, make sure you have some physical copies of your family photos, because in the event of an EMP or a massive coronal mass ejection from the sun, we're about due for some shenanigans from the sun here, which if that ends up, there's a cycle to that, and we're about due for some solar events that could affect computers, and if you want to make sure you have things secure, like I always say, pretty much everything electronic is compromised in some method or another. And I as an IT guy, I would highly recommend that you don't rely on IT.
I'm hoping that the sun zaps our electronic voting machines. That would be about ideal, wouldn't it?
That would be wonderful.
Can we call? All right, God, the next coronal mass ejection, let it take out all the electronic voting machines, and that's it. That's all we need to be gone. So it's gonna call God into that one to get rid of them. Targeted by God himself.
I would argue that a lot of the mass surveillance should also be included in that.
Okay, so we're going to make a list for God right now, okay? So all these things that the next coronal mass ejection needs to go after. Number one, voting machines, electronic voting machines, number one. Every computer sitting in Lansing and Washington, D.C. Fry them, God. Fry them right down to the smoldering plastic. Let's see, what else should we ask God to fry? The cameras under the bridges of third-party companies that our government uses to spy on us. Fry them. Please fry them. Let's see. What else can we ask to fry?
All of the surveillance stuff. violating Americans' Fourth Amendment rights.
5G.
All the methods of transportation of human trafficking.
Oh man, we're gonna be back to like ox carts and picking up berries out there. You know, that sounds like fun. I could handle that.
That sounds great.
That sounds like a great plan. Let's we're just gonna ask God. God, just take her all down. We'll be fine without it.
Hey, I would exclude steam trains from that.
Oh well, you can't do that, okay?
Those are pretty cool.
I can't give you a pass on that one, okay? Like if we're going after the big dogs here to bring society back into something that looks like an agrarian society where people can actually learn to get along instead of, you know, finding quick ways of targeting each other. Steam engines. Okay, I'll give you steam engines. God, don't fry the steam engines. Fry everything else. How's that?
No, the Industrial Revolution really was a major step backward, and
it sure was
in a lot of ways. I mean, there's things.
There'll be trafficking with the steam engines. I'm sorry, the steam engines can go.
Sorry, Ralph. You just got voted down 2-1. Steam engines are out of the picture.
Donna mentioned the ox cart, and I'm picturing like them trying to hide children under the stacks of twigs and stuff.
Hey, I have no doubt that
happened. To detect trafficking.
I have no doubt that happened on a large scale, even before industrial transportation.
Yeah, Satanists will be Satanists. That's all I can say.
It's been going on for thousands and thousands of years.
So I got to show. So now we've asked God to fry everything that's evil. I want to show you something that I found out from looking down to the UN and the nonsense they have there, and the Lucius Trust. I'll posted this morning, by the way, because I was just on a roll here to fry anything that's evil. Because you got to, right?
I was just like, did Donna get sleep last night? Because Donna was unleashed this morning.
That's right. It was Beast Donna. Go after the UN. Go after everything attached to it. And the Lucius Trust. This is a pretty short video. Let me put this up here because Warren said 10 minutes and he'll be on. So we're going to try this. This is kind of interesting. Lucius Trust. We'll play this. I'm sure it's going to have the prostate medicine on it. What is the deal with that? We got to figure out how to fix that.
The prostate?
Must be a big deal. Yeah, every time you turn this on, it's either are you constipated, or if it's, you know, you've got the 3-minute video or some stupid thing like that comes on.
Well, I think they figured that by the time that, as a guy, by the time that you're 80 years old, I think you've got like a 70 or 80% chance of having prostate problems.
Sorry, guys. So here we go. Let's listen to Lucius Trust.
Hello. In the traditional motion picture story, the villains are usually defeated. The ending is a happy one.
Okay, just have to say this is like my husband's favorite president other than Donald Trump. President Donald Trump, the rightful president of the United States in the history of the United States of America. And now, look, it's locked up here. Hang on. Okay, here we go.
I can make no such promise for the picture you're about to watch. The story isn't over. You and the audience are part of the conflict.
United Nations headquarters, which was built in 1945 and financed largely by John D. Rockefeller. Inside UN headquarters is an ominous meditation room. The custodian of the meditation room is Lucis Trust Company. At one time, the Lucis Trust was located at 666 United Nations Plaza and was formerly named Lucifer Publishing Company. The Rockefeller-funded UN meditation room is 33 feet long and 18 feet wide. 18 feet is 6 plus 6 plus 6. The small, dimly lit, windowless room was built in the shape of a pyramid that is laying on its side. At the center of the room is a 4-foot-high, black casket-shaped stone slab, which weighs 6.5 tons and is extremely magnetic and rests on a concrete pillar. The pillar descends beneath the floor into the bedrock and taps into the Earth's hyperdimensional energies to induce a state of altered consciousness. Not far from the meditation room is the United Nations Security Council chamber. This is the emergency room of the UN, where the world leaders meet when there is a threat to peace. They decide the fate of nations. Notice the giant mural that towers over the Security Council room. The central focus of the UN mural is the phoenix bird that has risen. The phoenix bird is a symbol of Lucifer. Egyptians believed that the phoenix symbolized a god who rose to heaven in the form of a morning star like Lucifer after his fire immolation of death and rebirth. Notice that the phoenix bird is not standing above his own ashes. He is standing above his old skin. Like a snake, he has shed his old skin and is revealing himself as God at the center of the mural. At the top left, there is a church steeple without a cross. The missing cross symbolizes the death of Christianity. Below, a woman receives the rays of the sun god, while the man in front of her plays Pan's flute. To their right are two pyramid symbols and people joined together by a long blue serpent-like claw. Below the risen phoenix, a sword is driven through a dragon beast. This represents the killing of old beliefs and religions that depicted Lucifer as a beast. The New World religion worships him as beautiful. Behind the phoenix, the ghostly figures of the walking dead are stepping into a void. They symbolize depopulation. On the right panel, the pale horse from the book of Revelation is the bringer of death to humanity through weapons, hunger, and disease. The man is releasing him. The chained black man represents slavery, while the top panel of the mural shows a technologically advanced white race who control industry, art, and science. In this post-apocalyptic mural, the military man standing on the tail of the beast represents worldwide military power. He tips his helmet to the elite, who are climbing out from underground cities, where they safely hid from the apocalypse. In the main oval panel above the phoenix bird, a woman is holding flowers. She is the bride in a wedding ceremony. Could the newlyweds symbolize William and Kate?
Okay,
The
that gets
serpent in
out
human
weeds
form
for me,
is
but
tempting the little girl Eve, who accepts the apple. On the right side of the top panel, a reptilian green creature with scaly skin is dancing with a naked woman while musicians entertain him. The general message of the UN's Phoenix Rising mural is that humanity is stepping into a new Luciferic reality. Beneath this disturbingly
there's
prophetic
Kissinger.
mural, world leaders make
Who would've
global
guessed?
decisions that affect the lives of nearly 7 billion people.
An occult organization that currently has its headquarters within the United
thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how they'd manage to justify all of that symbology through different means, because that there's an awful lot there.
Symbolism will be their downfall.
I like to look at all this kind of stuff. I look at it and evaluate it. I think she's putting some of herself in there by saying, "Is it like Kate and William?" I don't know, and neither does anybody else. But the rest of it's kind of interesting. So, but to look at it is real interesting.
I find
it's evil.
Yeah, I find the concept of I've heard of Christians talking about looking at stuff like that as being heretical, looking at things that are outside of symbology and stuff that's outside of the Bible as heretical. But it's like, what? How are you going to fight it if you can't look at it head on and figure out exactly what's going on there? Yeah, exactly. I mean, are you going to look at the gates of hell and Caesarea Philippi and
run?
Yeah, are you going to run or are you going to fight this? And I'm a proponent of you should have the information to be able to effectively fight that kind of thing. You know, I don't know how to put that into proper words, but the education on the enemy is valuable as well. You need to know what you're fighting.
Yes.
Well, you hear people say, well, you just need to look at the it's like a counterfeit. You only need to look at the real bills to know where the counterfeit is. Well, yeah, but that's kind of an ignorant statement right there, really.
Well, it's like how much the Bible talks about tearing down Asherah poles. Well, that's
huge.
It's huge, and people don't look into what all that entailed, because it's that was evil, that was idolatry, and so we're not even going to look at that to know what it is. But my gosh, there's so much stuff that happens that is pretty much Asherah worship anymore that people don't even see it because they don't look at what Asherah worship was and the history of all mutilation. Of that. Making children walk through the fire. It was there was a lot of child sacrifice kind of stuff, and by golly, we've circled right around back to that. And Satan has re-infiltrated under different terms because people were not educated on what the enemy, what evil looked like back at the time. And that study of history and the study of history of the evil, to be able to effectively combat it and spot it when it pops up again is something that, don't follow it. You're not going to the point of heresy of following that, but by golly, you should be educated on it.
Hey guys, Warren showed up.
Good
morning.
Warren,
you there?
Hey Donna, how are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you for jumping on today. And I just want to let everybody know that tomorrow you're going to be on tomorrow so that we can talk about all this stuff that's going on in the MIGOP. And I just got to tell you, I wrote a post yesterday. They were talking about Vance Patrick taking the lead of the party. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? It's like, what have we learned, people? And so I just said, I don't know, I'd give you a shot at it because you're the one that was out there doing something. And it's like 140-page report. I reposted that again. Laura Loomer's giving you a bunch of shout outs, and you're getting some really good recognition for what you do. And I am totally annoyed by people that watch the work that other people do, such as yourself and Chris Kyla. And then trying to take credit for it and to jump in they've just sit back and watched you guys being fed to the wolves. I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. They watched me get fed to the wolves and people didn't step up to help. And it was, it's like, I am so against that. But at any rate, I'd give you a shot at it. I think if anybody's got a brain out there, you know how the rules work better than anyone. And
I'm a behind the scenes guy, D.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, you may be a behind the scenes guy, but you're doing a pretty good job, and I appreciate that. So what's going on, and what are we going to talk about tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow I think that we're really going to get into the machinations of where this kind of story is going to be coming to a close, and kind of looking forward to what the end of this 90 days that I've been working on this project looks like, and then some of the final drops that are going to come out, some new breaking news for some of your audience of people who might be unfamiliar with some stuff that's also continually going on in the party and hasn't been shared. I've got a document that I'm going to share with you today, Donna.
I'm glad I'm your favorite.
Yeah, exactly. So we're definitely going to go over some of that stuff. The Laura Loomer thing is a really powerful message, because it's one of the things that I always thought was the biggest part of the story that no one in state really wanted to talk about, which is that, she was actively working in an organization to help Democrats, and help grassroots Democrats. And I think Laura Loomer poignantly said it best when she said, "You mean grassroots Democrats like progressive activists, like progressive Democrat activists?" Because that's what they are, right?
Well, she kicked me out and said I wasn't a real Republican.
Yeah.
But she'll work with people that are progressives. So
correct.
This is, it boggles your mind to watch this. It seems incredibly hypocritical of her. And then to watch your report that has all the financials. I don't know why these people aren't in jail right now for what they're doing. I really don't.
Don't worry.
I think it's going to have to come.
Yeah. Yeah. The criminal side of it, it was always, when I was doing this, it was always, that was like my backstop, but it's going to be part of the process now, no matter what. Was if we couldn't get her out, then, then we would pursue criminal charges, but that takes so much longer to kind of come to fruition, that I knew that we would be looking to try to get her out first, so we could maybe salvage, part of the cycle and actually have grassroots people involved in the party, and not have this dictatorship from the top down, with, no information being shared, no light being shined as disinfectant, and to really see what the party was made of from the grassroots. I mean, a bunch of people in the grassroots movement here, Donna. They're friends and acquaintances of yours as well.
I've got a lot of contacts everywhere.
Yeah, we have a ton of talented people inside the organization that I think could really show, not just the state of Michigan, maybe the country, what the grassroots is capable of. And, if it's any indication, what the grassroots can do, look at what we've accomplished in the last 30 days with blowing the whistle on Christina Caramo.
Yeah. And it's I'm really glad that people are watching. You gave everyone a chance to write the situation, which is what we need to do. We need to instruct. Correct. And instruct people, because when we have somebody as a leader, we're supposed to come alongside of them, and we see them do something wrong, say, "Hey, bro, hey, sister, we need to get this corrected because I'm concerned." But if they just keep steamrolling over people to hide stuff, and they don't correct those things that are wrong, we got a real problem. I was kind of curious as why she wasn't removed last night. I want to know why she wasn't removed, or yesterday. And I think that was the meeting canceled.
Yeah, so this is kind of part of how that works. So at the time that meeting was called, for the special committee meeting, the chair gets to choose time and place of a meeting, right? So it was out of order to do that, and then even if they wanted to, the state committee wanted to make that call for that day, they would have had to issue a call a couple of days before. I think it's like 5 days notice they have to provide. And because they didn't put a call out on the 22nd, there was no meeting that was ever going to transpire on the 27th. A lot of that had to do with people, I think, being out of town and some travel issues due to the holiday. I mean, 2 days after Christmas, people, are a lot of people are still out of town. You know what I mean? A lot of people are still, recovering from the tryptophan turkey hangovers, and returning gifts, and having to go into the malls or places to do all kinds of wildness. So I think pushing it back, a couple of weeks or a week would, is more than reasonable. Plus, in doing so, we have to make sure that all this stuff is 100% bulletproof. And that's always been the idea, is that we follow the rules, that we put everything out there on the table, and that it's transparent, and it follows the bylaws. That's all.
I really like your thoroughness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, really I really respect you a lot, and the people you're working with, for your thoroughness, because this is, and they're like, why does Brandenburg care? She's not a real Republican. That party affects every single one of us in the state. This is not a little private organization. And that's what I was told several times by Chuck Richard. He's like, this is, if you're not paying dues, you have no right to say anything. Oh yeah, we do. This is our country.
Correct.
And when you have a special interest group or a small group that has that much power, we all have a vested interest in watching what's happening.
Yeah, I think that it's incredible to see that, and I want the whole audience to understand this. Like, this thing, from the time that I decided I was going to do this in September, let's say, September 22nd, 23rd, after Mackinac. I told everyone on my team, I told Christine as well, that I wasn't going to come after anybody until after Mackinac. I didn't come after anybody until after Mackinac. But in those, it's, going on 3 months now, not a single time have we had help from an outside PR firm, from outside consultants. I didn't ask anybody's advice about how to do any of this. Our team didn't ask. These are literally just people. This isn't some op. This isn't some bunch of money coming in to support. None of that happened. These are people. This whole thing is transpired and culminating into last night with a Trump kind of a Trump journalist, right? Laura Loomer, one of probably Big Daddy's most outspoken and loudest supporters, to her 1 million fans, dropped the report, right? That all came organically through the grassroots, and I just want people to know, right? No matter what you think about me, that's the power of a delegate. That's the power of human agency. That's your ability to force change, to bring people onto your team and to become a force multiplier for good. This all happened because people were fed up and they were getting no redress of their grievances. And so our system allows us, through majority rule, to make decisions to right wrongs. And that's what we're going to do.
That's awesome. So tomorrow, I think we lost. Oh, there you are, back again. So let's do this. We're gonna come back on tomorrow. What time can you be on tomorrow? Are you gonna be on at 9 o'clock or 10 or what? Lost the sound. That's okay. We can talk about it when we're offline. Oh, there you are.
There we go.
Yeah, gotcha.
Sorry about that.
9 or 10
I missed
tomorrow.
What you said. I can do tomorrow, Friday. I can do 9 o'clock.
Perfect. So Warren Carpenter will be on at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we're gonna do this thing. We're gonna show what's going on here, and this affects each and every one of us in the state of Michigan, because the Republican Party has become such an abysmal failure right now. And I really want to caution everybody too that I'm not going to say if, but when Christina is removed, we're going to have a very smart way to approach this, instead of something that's a knee-jerk reaction that really, it doesn't work for anyone in the state.
And I will say this, I've had a lot of conversations with people in the state committee in the effort, and they're aware and cognizant of exactly what you said, right? About taking the time, about following the process, about vetting, about interviewing, about posting what's expected. I think that we're going to have a really robust process. I don't give a shit who the next person is. Sorry, excuse my French, to be honest with you. But at the same point, I don't really care who it is, because I know now, seeing what I've seen with this group of people, that as long as we have the opportunity to be involved, we'll be unstoppable.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. And let's say a prayer here, and then we're going to go on to our day. And Karen and Ralph, you guys have anything you want to say, last words here, and Warren, and then we'll say a prayer and head into our whatever our festivities are for the rest of the day.
Oh, sounds good.
I do. I wanted to point out what he was talking about the power of people. Earlier, I was mentioning how I feel like what's happening with the GOP is a great lesson for all the people. And here he's touching on it too. We have to learn about it. I don't care if you use the term grassroots. I'm talking we the people. Maybe it's the same thing, but it's not somebody else telling we the people what to do. It's we the people telling somebody else what to do. It's on a larger scale. It's not a delegate. You're not representing somebody else. You're representing yourself. And if everybody represents ourselves, we'd have a whole lot different situation in our nation right now. We've got to be able to react without so much emotion and taking things personally, and base our decisions on faith. I yield.
Amen. I agree with that.
Awesome. Well, let's say a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so very much for this day and for blessing us with each other. We're so thankful for the wonderful gifts that you've given us, the food, the family that are around us, our friends that are around us, and your spirit to guide us and lead us through all situations, the challenges, as well as the times where we just celebrate and enjoy the life you've given us. We're just so very thankful. Thank you so much for our pets, our animals, for things like seals and cartoons that we can watch that make us laugh, and all good things that come from you. We are willing to stand and do whatever it is that you ask us to do. It's your sandbox, and we're here playing by your rules, and we want to know what it is that you want us to do. Help us to have the eyes to see this world the way you see it, to see others with compassion and patience, but also balanced out with justice and blind justice under the law, the structures that you've given us to live in a peaceful society with each other. Help us to listen and to hear what people are saying, and to honor you with our thoughts, our words, and our deeds, and everything that we do. You're a great friend to us, and we want to be a friend to you. Please bless Warren, Ralph, Karen, and all those patriots out there that are working to restore this nation. We're so thankful that we can work together as brothers and sisters, that as you as our Father. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. So here we go. So since Warren's got hands, I'm not the only one with hands today. That's a good thing. I'm thankful that Warren has hands. So there you go. So anyhow, God bless all of you. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. Make it a great day. I'll be on tomorrow with Warren, and perhaps Ralph and Karen might join us at some point in time, because I know they're around and they're great friends to me. And whenever I ask them, they're always willing to come on and do work to restore this nation. And I'm just so thankful for each and every one of you. And we'll see you tomorrow. God bless you and have a great day.
Thanks, Donna. Take care, you guys.